We have to start with CPI data, what this might mean for the trajectory of interest rates and where inflation is going to end up, say, 6 months to a year from now when it's going to matter for the presidential campaign cycle. How much of a worry, as Annmarie said, is just the cost of oil right now and gasoline for families?
Well, look, a disappointing set of inflation data. Headline numbers up the most in a year. Even the core read is ticking up for the first time since February. Gas was a big part of it, but even across the board, when you look into it, medical costs were up, airfares are up, the cost of car insurance rose by the most since 1976. So yes, the gas is the big takeaway, but there are signs of stickiness across the board, signs there that the cost of living story hasn't gone away. That, of course, will be hurting people, not coming at a good time in the political cycle, but also coming, of course, on the eve of potentially that big strike in Michigan. So certainly a few headwinds building for the economy now.
What happens if we have $4 a gallon gasoline, which is heading in that direction, a government shutdown, and auto workers on strike? What does that actually mean for the real economy?
Well, it's an unholy trinity. I mean, we had this sense that the Fed was maybe getting a little bit giddy, and some economists were talking about the US was definitely on track to pull off a soft landing, but now we're getting a reminder, hang on a sec, the inflation story hasn't gone away. We might have 3 massive car makers going on strike next month with huge impacts for the Michigan economy and, of course, potentially a government shutdown. That would be a lot for the economy to withstand at a time when high interest rates are already biting. So there's still a lot to play for here.
To put a finer point on that, Anna Wong at Bloomberg Economics told us earlier today that if you consider that scenario that you just outlined, if we get a full-on auto strike coupled with a government shutdown, that's actually the difference, based on BE's calculations, between a recession and not having a recession. Wow. The stakes are incredibly high. If you had $100 barrel oil, that's another one.
Especially when you have the Treasury Secretary already coming out and saying they foresee a soft landing. Right. They have been, to your point, Enda, how economists and the Fed have been, the administration has also been quite giddy that they are going to be able to land this in a soft landing.
So the events of the next 3 weeks matter a lot here. And Senator Elizabeth Warren spoke about her hopes for what the Fed might do next when we spoke with her this morning on Capitol Hill. Here she is.
The idea that the Fed can raise interest rates and somehow magically that's going to produce more oil, it just doesn't work that way. So the Fed's job is to remember they actually have 2 responsibilities. One is inflation, one is employment. And that is not to keep raising interest rates so that they tip this economy into a recession when people are trying to deal with prices like higher oil prices that the Fed cannot affect.
Julie Fine, take us outside of the Beltway here, because we're talking about kitchen table issues for the most part, the cost of gas, your interest rates on getting a mortgage, now the potential for a government shutdown and an auto strike, a labor strike. How does somebody sitting in middle America put all this together when they consider what's being debated right now in Washington?
I would not well.
No.
I mean, somebody that is living paycheck to paycheck and they are seeing all these costs that are not changing, and they're paying more for gas. Their food is not going down. And then you hear about a possible interest rate hike. This is not going to go well for anybody that sits in the White House right now. If you're running for president, then you are also going to talk about how you can address this, but really make it happen. Not just, I plan to try this and I plan to try that. You really have to show how it's going to be actionable. This creates a major problem, really, for anyone running right now. But if you're the sitting president, it's a bigger problem.
Yeah,
sure. We have Sean Fain about to speak. He's potentially putting together and deciding what plans, if we are to be see a strike, and it looks like that way with the UAW workers. You come from a right-to-work state. What we see is these automakers going to the South, do these joint ventures with battery companies to make electric vehicles. Do people in Texas care that unions might go on strike?
I don't think a right-to-work state, if you're not a worker that wants to be in a union, I don't think that the UAW strike will affect them unless they can't get a good that they want. That always affects everybody, that they can't get something they want because of a strike. But it's a completely different ballgame in a right-to-work state where they don't want to give a lot to unions. But again, I go back to, if you can't get what you want because someone's on strike, that's not going to sit well.
Yeah, that's true. And when you consider what we've seen to auto prices and used car prices specifically, how would that come together if this was a protracted labor action.
It wouldn't be good. Used car prices have been coming off the boil since I bought mine in May.
Yeah.
But new
Sure, you've noticed.
Good timing. But new car prices actually are going up. And if we do have this sudden blockage of supply and production of cars in the US, obviously there will be a flow-through impact to inflation, and that will be a big part of the inflation story going forward if cars start going back through the roof again. So it all adds up to what the Fed has to juggle here.
The cloud over all of this economic concerns is actually the theater that is happening in Congress. And I'm calling it impeachment to nowhere because, Joe, they're going to go through the motions, but there's never going to be a conviction of this in the Senate.
Not in this Senate.
Exactly.
No, absolutely right.
Speaker McCarthy is being asked about this constantly by reporters on the Hill. Take a listen to what he had to say.
You have all these questions, and to be able to get the answers to those questions, you're going to have to subpoena certain documents.
Julie, since you are joining us here from Texas, what do people outside of the D.C. Beltway have to say about this impeachment inquiry?
This impeachment inquiry hasn't hit as much as the former impeachment inquiries, but then people started to get indictment fatigue and impeachment fatigue. And this time around, it may be different in a state that is red, has mostly Republicans. It may lean a little bit differently, and I think that there will be a lot of Republicans that are happy this is happening after they've seen what's happened in the past. But in the end, if it doesn't go anywhere, you know what it ends up becoming? Just a big use of time that could go towards something else if it's not going to go anywhere.
Well, you talk about impeachment fatigue. It was in 2019 that Kevin McCarthy said that Nancy Pelosi was wrong to bring an impeachment inquiry without a vote. He condemned her for doing this, only to turn around and do the same thing now. And he has been pressed repeatedly by reporters on this. And he's blaming Nancy Pelosi. He says she set the precedent, even though 12 days ago he said he didn't favor doing such a thing. Does that kind of apparent double standard matter to anybody?
I don't think it really does. I don't think there's anybody that supports it that will turn around and say, but wait a minute, they did it differently in 2019 if it's their guy. So I don't think that double standard does matter. In this instance, by the way, we are seeing a lot of double standards now. You know, first we talked about Republicans saying it was so bad to go against the former president, but they're all for going for Hunter Biden and vice versa. So I think a lot of this, again, turns into a lot of words and a lot of fatigue and not a lot of action in many cases.
Yeah.